due to our own history of having people tell stories on our behalf, this is why we get defensive. No one ever wants to look bad in a picture. And keep in mind, photography, when it first started, was more for commemorative moments. So there was a time in the Victorian era where they literally had dead people pose for photographs, and like just sit there with like people trying to pull like a smile, so that people at least have a memory of this dead person smiling. And so I think everyone wants to look at visuals and keep thinking of positive thoughts when they see these things. So like stuff like, my grandfather was happy, so I have that good memory of him, so I don't want to change that memory. And I think that's one part of it, the need to have something positive all the time. Another part of it, I think, really is due to our own history of having people tell stories on our behalf. This is why we get defensive. It's because every time, even someone sitting at a picnic, having a picnic with their family, someone somewhere will find a problem with that photograph and say, oh, look at why she's wearing a abaya. Oh, look at how the man is distant from her. Oh, look at this and that and this. And so I think from our perspective, we're just tired and exhausted of the nitpicking that people see in these photographs. And so that's why we get a bit defensive about it. And then the third part, which plays a lot in how I also interact with people, is just the shock. They are just shocked because they have never in their lives seen visuals like this. And the only visuals of things like this. So for example, a photograph comes to mind right now. It was from Ilo, Batjalli. It was in the desert, and he took a photograph of two Bedouin women holding their children. And the children obviously had clear signs of starvation. And this photograph was taken in 1945. And it was at a time when the country was like developing really fast. So a lot of the people in the commentary were just shocked. And some people were like, how dare you post something like this? We're a very progressive society now, and it's not that we're ashamed of this, but it's like, we're over this now. And my perspective is just different than theirs, where it's like, I would rather see these photographs to thank God for the development that we've had, considering how fast it was. And at the same time, to say, to kind of honor the people in the photographs for having to go through these tough times to give us the luxurious lives we live in right now. I mean, I always think, if you tell these people, like, if you could just jump into these photographs and tell these people the lives we live, I think they would say that is heaven. So that's how I look at it personally. Like, I always try to treat people's emotions and reactions to photographs as authentically theirs. And I try to understand where they're coming from. And after like figuring out at least how they're thinking, I try to also put that perspective whenever I look at a photograph. And I try telling myself, would this upset someone? And why would it upset someone? And how could it upset someone? It doesn't stop me from posting it, but it at least makes me more cautious of not offending anyone.